before the pharaohs, before the pyramids rose from the desert floor, before the word Egypt was ever spoken. He came, not as a conqueror, not as a king, but as a messenger of the divine. He called himself Thoth, known to the Greeks as Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great. But to the ancient initiates, he was something far more than myth, a being of profound wisdom, a master of cosmic law, a guide who shaped the spiritual DNA of an entire civilization. But why Egypt? Why that land? Why that time? Was it just a cradle of culture? Or was it something far older, something sacred, something chosen? What if the truth is this? Thoth did not discover Egypt, he remembered it. And what he brought changed the destiny of humanity. In this video, we'll trace the hidden origins of Thoth's journey, his connection to Atlantis, and the real reason he descended into the land of Kemet, to build, to teach, and to leave behind a legacy encoded in stone, star, and soul. Are you ready to remember what the world was made to forget? Then let us begin. Long before Egypt carved its stories into stone, long before mankind built temples to the gods, there was another land, a radiant civilization bathed in light and ruled by wisdom, a place called Atlantis, not a myth, not a legend, but a memory, buried deep in the soul of the earth. Atlantis was the cradle of divine science. Its adepts, masters of sacred geometry, time, vibration, and spirit, held knowledge humanity can scarcely imagine today. And among them, one stood apart. Thoth, high priest of the Temple of Light. He was not just wise, he was awakened. He spoke with the stars. He walked the corridors of time. He understood the divine laws not as theory, but as living truth. But Atlantis was not eternal. The Hermetic writings and the Emerald tablets speak of a time when corruption entered the hearts of men, when power overshadowed purpose, when the sacred became exploited, and Atlantis began to fall. And as the island trembled, as the oceans rose, as fire and water devoured a golden world, Thoth and the remaining adepts did not perish. They departed, not in fear, but in knowing. For this had all been foreseen. In the Emerald tablets, Thoth writes, "Then came the voice, saying, 'Go forth and preserve the light. Take it to the land of the children of Khem.'" Khem, the ancient name for Egypt. But why Egypt? Because Egypt was more than a land of sand and sky. It was a nexus where the Earth's energy lines converged, a spiritual artery of the planet, a place destined to be the next beacon of wisdom if the flame could be preserved. Thoth left Atlantis not to escape death, but to seed rebirth. And with him, he carried the sacred knowledge, the laws of creation, the architecture of the soul, the memory of the stars, and the blueprint for a new civilization, one that would remember the divine. So he journeyed across the waters, not alone, but with other initiates, guardians of the ancient flame. And when they arrived in Khem, they didn't conquer, they awakened. They saw the sleeping minds of early mankind, the potential buried beneath fear and instinct. And they began to build, not empire, but temples, temples of frequency, temples of initiation, temples of ascension. But one structure would surpass them all, the Great Pyramid, a structure not built after Thoth arrived, but built because he did. It stands silent in the desert, unmoved by time, unafraid of decay, the Great Pyramid of Giza. To modern eyes, it is an architectural marvel, a wonder of the ancient world, a tomb, perhaps, a symbol of mystery. but to those who remember the truth, to those who felt the ancient current running beneath its stones, the pyramid is something else entirely. It is not a tomb. It is a transmitter, a gateway, a living archive of Hermetic wisdom, encoded in perfect angles, sacred proportions, and celestial alignment. Thoth did not simply teach the Egyptians to build. He brought with him the divine architecture of Atlantis and embedded it into the very bones of Egypt. Every line of the pyramid is a verse of scripture. Every chamber, a frequency chamber for the soul. Every measurement, a cosmic equation, linking Earth to Orion, man to spirit, form to light. The Great Pyramid was never meant to be understood by the eye. It was meant to be activated by the soul. It is aligned with the stars of Orion's belt, mirroring the place from which Thoth's wisdom descended. It sits at the geographical center of all land masses on Earth, not by accident, but by precision. Its dimensions encode the golden ratio, the speed of light, the circumference of the Earth, and more. Impossible to the untrained mind. But not to Thoth. Not to one who walked in time like others walk in corridors. He did not simply build monuments. He wove memory into matter. The pyramid is the crystallization of Hermetic law. As above, so below, as within, so without. What is built in stone reflects what is born in spirit. And the purpose? To prepare the soul, to initiate it, step by step, chamber by chamber, into greater awareness. The pyramid was not a destination. It was a process, a symbolic death and rebirth, a tool to move the initiate through the levels of consciousness, from the base instincts of the body to the higher mind, and finally, to the union with the divine. Each chamber in the pyramid is aligned with planetary forces. Each passageway is symbolic of the soul's journey beyond death. Each echo in its halls was once a vibration of awakening. And Thoth, he left it not for fame, but for those who would one day remember. Because he knew the world would forget, the temples would be misused, the teachings would be buried, but the pyramid would remain, unmoved, unchanged, waiting for those who could see beyond stone and read the code written in light. So the question isn't who built the pyramids. The real question is, who remembered enough to build them? And the answer was Thoth, the architect of form, the messenger of divine order, the one who came not to rule Egypt, but to activate it. Why would a being like Thoth, a master of time, a keeper of cosmic law, a voice of the divine, come to Earth? Why descend into a realm of chaos, forgetfulness, and suffering? Not to rule, not to be worshipped, but to awaken, because in the heart of humanity, beneath the layers of instinct and survival, there is something sacred. Divine mind. In Hermetic teaching, this is not a metaphor. It is a literal force, an infinite field of intelligence, harmony, and order that lives inside every soul. Thoth came to Egypt not to impose law, but to remind us that we are law, that the principles which govern the cosmos, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, also govern us. The difference between man and God, Thoth taught, is not birthright, it is remembrance. And so his mission was simple and revolutionary: to awaken man to his divine origin, to initiate the soul into conscious evolution, to turn base humans into living temples, to teach that the true ascent is inward, and that the highest truth is already within. He did not promise salvation. He taught alignment. He did not erase karma. He taught mastery of it. He did not create followers. He created initiates. And through Hermetic law, Thoth handed humanity the keys to transformation. Know thyself, master thyself, transcend thyself. Because only in knowing yourself can you remember your divine spark. Only in mastering yourself can you rise beyond illusion, and only in transcending yourself can you awaken to your place in the all. Thoth knew the body dies. He knew civilizations rise and fall, but if he could plant even one seed of divine consciousness in man, it would ripple forward through time, from priest to mystic, from sage to seeker, until the soul of humanity remembered what it was always meant to be. Not a follower, not a slave, not a sinner, but a co-creator, an eternal being in temporary form. And so he encoded it all, in tablets, in temples, in tone, in stone, knowing that one day you would come looking, that one day you would feel the call again. Not to worship Thoth, but to become what he remembered in you. That is why he came. That is why he stayed. And that is why his name still echoes through time. Because his mission was never about Egypt. It was always about you. Every great light casts a shadow, and every truth, if too powerful, risks being feared, misunderstood, or silenced. Thoth did not hide his wisdom. He spoke it. He carved it. He vibrated it into stone and soul. But not everyone wanted man to awaken, because true knowledge liberates, and liberation threatens control. As the centuries passed, Thoth's original teachings began to fracture. His principles, once precise and sacred, were diluted, manipulated, buried beneath ritual and hierarchy. Temples became political, priesthoods became gatekeepers, and the golden thread of divine knowledge was pushed underground, not lost, but veiled, hidden in symbols, encoded in myths, passed quietly from mouth to ear, initiate to initiate, always protected, always present, but never public, because those who carried the true light knew the world was not ready. And so began the age of forgetting, where man worshipped gods he no longer understood, where pyramids stood tall, but the meaning behind them faded, where magic replaced mystery, and control replaced truth. But Thoth knew this would come. In the Emerald Tablets, he wrote of the Dark Ages, a time when man would forget himself, lose connection to spirit, and wander blind in the material world. But he also wrote of the return. He said, "In the future time, I shall return to awaken the memory of what was once known, and the children of light shall rise again." He knew this knowledge could never be destroyed, because it lives not only in stone, but in you. Yes, you. Because you felt it, the echo of something ancient inside you. The pull toward symbols, language, geometry you don't remember learning, but somehow know. You are the soul he was speaking to, one of the many who would one day feel the veil thin and begin to remember what had been hidden. That is why this knowledge was sealed in silence, not to hoard power, but to protect it from corruption. Because truth must be rediscovered by those ready to live it, not repeat it, not decorate it, embody it. So the question is no longer, why was it hidden? The question is, why are you hearing it now? Because maybe, just maybe, you're ready, and so is the world. They said it was legend. They said he was myth, a story from the sands of time, wrapped in mystery and forgotten by history. But Thoth was never gone. He only stepped into the silence, waiting, waiting for when the world would be ready again. Not just to hear truth, but to live it. Look around. Something is shifting. You can feel it, can't you? People are waking up. Dreams are becoming vivid. Questions that used to be whispered in secret are now spoken out loud. There is a hunger for something real. Not more information, but remembrance. And this is the return of Thoth, not in flesh, not as a being descending from the sky, but as a frequency, a vibration of wisdom that's resurfacing in the hearts of those who are finally ready. It's in the sacred texts being read again. It's in the pull toward ancient Egypt, sacred geometry, and cosmic law. It's in the deep inner knowing that we were made for more than consumption, fear, and division. His return is not an event, it's a wave, a reactivation of the light he planted in souls long ago, souls like yours. You wouldn't be here, listening now unless you felt it. Because the truth is, you carry part of that light, part of that code. You are not just a seeker, you are an initiated soul, remembering your role in a story far older than this lifetime. Thoth's mission continues through you, through your awakening, through your healing, through your courage to speak what is real and to live as if the divine is already within you, because it is. He taught us how to remember. Now we must choose to live it. So what now? Now, you carry the flame of divine mind, the flame of Hermetic law, the flame of sacred knowledge that cannot die. And as you walk through this world, know that the temple is no longer just in Egypt. It is in you. The pyramid is not only in the sand, it is the structure of your own becoming. And Thoth, he is not behind us, he is within us. A voice in the stillness, whispering one final truth. Rise, child of light. The time of remembering has come. If something in you stirred while watching this, if your heart beat a little faster, if you felt chills, if the voice of this message felt less like something new and more like something you were always meant to remember, that's not coincidence. That's memory. That's your soul responding to truth. Thoth's return is not about looking to the sky. It's about awakening the light already burning within you. The temple is no longer lost. It lives in you.